The Galaxy S26 Ultra is getting closer to its official reveal, and excitement is building fast. Every year, Samsung's Ultra phones become a major topic when it comes to smartphone cameras, and the S26 Ultra is expected to continue that tradition. The earlier Ultra models built a strong reputation because they delivered consistently high-quality photos. Because of that history, people already assume the S26 Ultra will be one of the top camera phones of the year, even before it launches. But this year, the situation is interesting. Early leaks suggest that Samsung may not make dramatic hardware changes to the camera system. Most of the camera setup looks similar to the S25 Ultra. However, one upgrade could make a big difference. The main camera is expected to use a wider f1.4 aperture. At first, this might sound like a small adjustment, but it matters a lot in photography. The current S25 Ultra uses an 1.7 aperture. Moving to f1.4 allows around 50% more light to reach the sensor. That extra light can drastically improve night photography. It helps brighten dark scenes, reduces image noise, and brings out more detail in shadows. It also allows faster shutter speeds, which means fewer blurry photos when taking shots in dim lighting. If Samsung keeps its 200-megapixel ISOCELL HP2 main sensor, this change will still boost low-light performance. Small pixels usually struggle in darkness, and the HP2's pixels are on the smaller side. More light means better clarity, sharper images, and less grain. The wider aperture will also create a shallower depth of field, giving portrait photos a more professional look with softer background blur. However, there is a big question: will this be enough to impress people, especially with competition arriving soon? Sony has just announced its own major camera breakthrough, the LYT901. This is Sony's first 200-megapixel sensor designed for smartphones. It uses a stacked design, which improves light handling and speeds up processing. The sensor is a WT112 type, slightly smaller than Sony's 1-inch LYT900, but still much larger than most phone sensors today. The LYT901 uses 0.71 pixels and Sony's quad Bayer technology. This combines 16 small pixels into one larger pixel to improve low-light performance. Then, AI reconstructs the fine details. That means sharper daytime photos, cleaner nighttime photos, and better control of highlights and shadows. Sony also claims the sensor can shoot 200-megapixel RAW images at up to 10 frames per second and 50-megapixel images at up to 30 frames per second. It can even deliver 4D lossless crop zoom, which could challenge Samsung's long-range zoom advantage. Reports say this Sony sensor might appear first in phones like the Oppo Find X9 Ultra or Vivo X300 Ultra in early 2026. If those phones deliver on Sony's promises, they could take attention away from Samsung, even though Samsung will launch its phone earlier. This is where things get interesting. The Galaxy S26 Ultra is expected to arrive at the end of January, weeks before the first Sony-powered phones. If it keeps most of the same camera hardware, people may question whether Samsung's software and experience can balance out Sony's new technology. Rumors say the telephoto setup will get only minor changes. The 3D zoom lens could increase from 10 megapixels to 12 megapixels. The rest might stay the same: a 50-megapixel ultra-wide, a 50-megapixel 5x periscope zoom, a 12-megapixel selfie camera, and that familiar 200-megapixel main sensor. In this scenario, the wider f1.4 aperture becomes the most meaningful upgrade. Camera fans and reviewers will be watching closely. When real-world tests begin, Sony's sensor could dominate headlines. Features like extreme detail, clean textures, and strong AI zoom might become the center of attention. If it performs well, it could set a new standard for phone photography. But Samsung still has one big advantage: consistency. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is widely respected for its camera. Many photographers love Samsung's color processing, especially in markets like Japan. Samsung phones often deliver strong results across different lighting conditions. If the S26 Ultra builds on that foundation, it will remain a serious device for photography lovers. It is also important to remember that great hardware does not guarantee great photos. Results depend on tuning, optimization, and years of camera experience. Samsung has spent many generations refining its software. The wider aperture alone could make everyday photos brighter, softer, and more detailed. Portrait shots may look more natural. Low-light photos could benefit the most. 2026 is shaping up to be an exciting year for smartphone cameras. Samsung will enter the stage first with the S26 Ultra. Later, Sony's LYT901 phones from Oppo and Vivo will arrive and push the limits even further. For enthusiasts, the real fun will be comparing how these devices perform in real life, how they handle indoor lighting, how they capture tiny textures, and how well they record video. Whether the Galaxy S26 Ultra becomes the strongest camera phone or simply stays a reliable flagship, one thing is certain: the race for the best smartphone camera is about to get intense, and every company will have to compete hard to stay in the spotlight.